Hello guys, in this video I will try or in fact retry Windsurf because I haven't touched it for months. I thought it was not a competitor anymore, but I was wrong. And I will show that in this video. Also in this video, I will show how much it costs to call API directly from Anthropic because I don't have any plan on Windsurf. So I will use API key directly from Anthropic and you will see how many cents or dollars it costs to prompt any AI basically that would use Anthropic API key. And finally, I will show not only how Windsurf works currently, but one new feature from the latest releases of Windsurf, which may be a game changer for me personally when shooting videos with AI. A feature that is currently not available in other IDEs like Cursor or Claude Code. But let's start with the backstory. I thought that Windsurf was not a competitor anymore to Cursor and others after this piece of news that it was in talks to be bought by OpenAI for astronomical $3 billion. So my interpretation was that they didn't find any business model and will be a part of OpenAI. But then a few months later, in July, pretty recently, another breaking piece of news came out that Windsurf's CEO is going to Google and they're not going to be selling to OpenAI anymore. Which again, my interpretation was basically Windsurf is done, they are selling out the team, it's over, and we shouldn't even look at Windsurf. But recently, more and more people started commenting on YouTube and on my Twitter that they do use Windsurf, and I thought, wait a minute, it's still alive? And this is what actually happened. The next chapter is the article on their blog, which explains a lot. Windsurf core team was being acquired by Cognition. Cognition are the creators of Devin agent, which was almost the first ones on the market to have agent with AI. So now they have new CEO, Jeff, from Windsurf. He's been on Windsurf since 2023. And generally on the blog, they explain everything in 3 articles. The next stage of Windsurf, which is talking about the deal with Google, which explains that. So the founders, Varun and Douglas, and some members of research team will join Google. So that was step 1. But then the acquisition by Cognition actually reignited the new wave, so to speak, of Windsurf, at least for now. Windsurf remains Windsurf, and this is exactly what I will show in action right now. So you can start using Windsurf as a separate editor or as a plugin inside of one of those IDEs. I downloaded it as a separate editor, and I will show you an example of a few prompts on Laravel project, and also as promised, I will show you the price of those prompts. So starting balance of API Anthropic is 431, and here I am in Windsurf. It's called Cascade Chat, and I will ask a few questions and prompts. And here's my first prompt. I will ask a question, so you can chat or code. So in chat in ask mode, let's see how quickly it will tell me what is the Laravel and Tailwind versions in this project. So checking composer and package JSON, and I have the result in roughly 3 or 4 seconds. Great, Windsurf works with that. And now if we refresh our Anthropic dashboard, we have 426. So 5 cents is the cost of this prompt for just a question. Let's try something more complicated. So I'm working with a project CRM on Laravel, very simple one, kind of a CRUD project, more junior level, and I'm playing around with that project with all AI agents, asking various things and testing things around. So I want to remove a column description from tasks table in Laravel Blade. So we can start new agent of Cascade, and we need to switch from chat to code, so it will actually change the code. And here's the prompt. In the tasks table, I want to remove the column, and I know specifically what Blade file it is. And by the way, I'm using Claude Sonnet 4. BYOK means bring your own key, which means that I'm using my own key because Claude Sonnet 4 is not available on free plan, and I'm out of free trial for Windsurf because I used it months ago. And let's see how quickly Windsurf will take care of that. Okay, in roughly 10 seconds in, we have the result with changes made. We can take a look at files changed. Let's make this smaller, and yeah, remove the column header and probably remove the TD. All good. And also it figured out to change call span. Great. So yeah, accept file, and yeah, works great. So with this example, I wanted to prove you that Windsurf actually works, as I thought that Windsurf is not in the game anymore. It sure is. Now if we refresh the dashboard of Anthropic, let's see how many cents it cost. 418, so 8 cents was for that HTML blade change. And the final test would be to change the database relationship. This is a bigger task, so task now belongs to one user, What if I want to make it multiple users per task? We need to change database relationships, validation, and Laravel Blade with HTML as well. Let's see how Windsurf handles that. And this is my prompt in human language: refactor this and that, but I'm also pretty technical, so I know what I'm doing and what to refactor. Let's assume I'm just too lazy to do that, and let's put some context. So context, it's easy to give to Windsurf, so we pass the model, which is the main thing, then task controller probably is important, and we can even pass the full folder of resources views tasks for Blade. Let's see how Windsurf handles that, and I will pause on important parts when it does something important. So it creates a to-do list. Recently, all AI editors like Cursor and Claude Code has to-do lists, which is great. Now it analyzes the files, exploring, and the first item, create migration task. And here we may choose to allow auto run. It's not safe by default, but for this demonstration, let's make it auto. So make migration is great. So yeah, one file with changes. We can already see what's inside. Looks good to me with IDs and timestamps, but it makes more changes now to the same file. And then it wants me to approve again, make migration. I'm not sure how do I hide this part now. So yeah, another migration to remove the old column. The next point, update to-do list, continue response. Cascade response was cut short due to length limits. Maybe it's because I'm using API, but I need to continue. Actually, meanwhile, let's refresh Anthropic dashboard. And let's see, maybe it's already astronomical cost for this prompt. So 418. No, it's not astronomical, it's 26 cents for now. And let's continue. Okay, and again, 6 minutes in, I have continue response, which is probably because I'm using API of Anthropic, and I click continue, but already by this time 10 files with changes, so controllers, requests, and Blade files. So it's probably in the final stages. Okay, now it's asking to run migrations. Success. Great. By the way, I like that it shows the output right away, because for other IDEs, I need to navigate somewhere else to see the output of the terminal. And here's the script it generated for testing. I want to make sure that this script doesn't change anything in the database, because AI tend to do that sometimes, but in this case, nothing for insert or create. Seems to be working. Updated to-do list, and yeah, refactoring complete, seems like. So this is the summary. Time is roughly 8 minutes, and if we refresh the edit form of tasks, it's not broken. We have multi-select here, update task. Will it work? Yep, we have multiple users here, and the old user is migrated successfully. So it seems to be working with 11 files changed. Let's randomly take a look at some change, for example, task controller. So loads users instead of user. Loading here, different updates. It seems legit. Now in terms of pricing, remember it was $4.18 at the moment at the start of this task. Now we have $3.15. So $1.03 is the API cost of such prompt. What I want to say here is those plans of any AI like Windsurf or Cursor or Claude Code, if you use them extensively, it's still cheaper than using Anthropic API key with direct API pricing, which is pretty expensive. And we will discuss Windsurf current pricing in a minute. So with these tests, what I wanted to show you is that Windsurf works well with Sonnet 4 and makes the changes roughly similarly how it would be done in Cursor or in Claude Code with similar prompts. I've done it in the past. It's roughly similar result. Next question is Windsurf future. Do they release new features? And they do. If you take a look at their changelog, even after the official announcements about acquiring, in August they released Wave 12. Those versions, they call it waves. And here they integrate Devin in Windsurf already. I haven't tried it yet, but it seems to be some kind of collaboration happening there. And also in Wave 11, which was out a few days after the announcement of acquisition, they released one feature which may be very useful to me personally, because I have a microphone and I like to speak to people, and also I can speak to AI. So there's voice mode. Let's try it in action. And I will move my face to the left bottom corner so you would see this icon at the bottom right. Start recording will actually record my voice and transform it to text so I can talk to the AI. Let's try it out. Generate automated tests for tasks CRUD. Not quite, I meant CRUD, but still. You can actually dictate your prompts to the AI with Windsurf. I haven't seen that feature in Cursor, Claude Code, or others. So yes, they are releasing new features and Wave 13 is coming out, and Andrew is asking on Twitter people for suggestions or bug requests, and in fact there are some bug requests. Like with any IDEs, there are dark days and dark versions. So for example, here we have a lot of people reporting some weird bugs just a few days ago. Maybe it's related to some version that was released. I didn't encounter any of that in my testing, not sure. But sometimes such weird behavior happens to pretty much all AI IDEs or underlying LLM models. And looking at the progress of Windsurf and future plans, I changed my mind on something. I thought that who is in charge is really important for people, so whether the same CEO is at Windsurf and what is the vision for the company, or do they belong to OpenAI or Google, or who is the owner is important. But actually, on the ground, for some users, or in fact for majority of users, it's just important whether the tool is good or not. Does it work? Does it do the job? Does it solve a problem? So from that point of view, Windsurf is still very well alive and kicking and improving, and with some integration with Devin, it may have even brighter future. And I think at this point, pricing is almost like the main differentiator between, I call them Sonnet 4 wrappers. At this point, it seems like most IDEs are that, with some UX and UI on top of that. So pricing of Windsurf is currently $15 per month for 500 prompt credits. If I understand correctly, with this test, I used 5 credits of Sonnet, and on this plan, you can add add-on credits for $10 extra. And there's also a $30 plan with more functionality. So it's not a lot actually. Compare that to Cursor pricing being unsustainable at this point, and I have separate videos on that. Compare that to price of Augment Code, which is $50 for example. I think Windsurf is on par or cheaper than those. Not sure how sustainable it is for them as a business model. For Cursor, it seems to be not sustainable, so that's why they are raising the pricings and the limits. We'll see how it goes. At this point, it's anyone's game, it seems. So I wouldn't be very surprised if, for example, Cursor becomes unsustainable as business model in a few months and it may be bought by someone, who knows. But with this video, I wanted to retry Windsurf. Does it still work? Is it still in the game? And the answer is hell yes. What do you guys think about the future and present of Windsurf? Do you use or are you planning to use that? Let's discuss all of that in the comments below. That's it for this time, and see you guys in other videos.